Hi, welcome to the show You Matter. I'm the host, Debbie Dupre. Today we're going to be talking about the homeless situation in Modesto. I'll be bringing on a special guest today who will remain anonymous to protect their identity. They're going to be giving input on this situation. You can check us out on MyTV26, YouTube, and Facebook. Click like and subscribe. You can also reach out to me at my website at DupreReikiandWellness.com or call at 209-613-9439. Just know that as you go through each episode, it builds onto the next one. I hope you're staying in heart resonance to lower blood pressure and cortisol levels. So over the last year, there's been an increasing amount of homelessness in our city of Modesto, California. I am here today with Jim Johnson, who wishes to remain anonymous to protect his identity. He wants to determine what has happened to the money that was raised by the county, the mayor's office, and the housing authority in Stanislaus County. We are seeing colder temperatures at night, and more of the homeless are taking to the streets to sleep. District 4 seems to be hit the hardest. The 9th Street Bridge and the parking lots of Santa Barbara Avenue, which is where we're filming now. I would like to do a follow-up with the Mayor of Modesto, Ted Brandvold, and Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors, District 4, Manny Graywall. He was newly elected and appointed on December 2nd of this year. Mayor Ted Brandvold's top priorities are hire more police officers, reopen local businesses with proper precautions, alleviate the homelessness situation, balance the budget. So this show, I want to focus on what is available currently to the public through the city programs, with a follow-up with city managers to determine what is working, what is not working, and what can be done to provide additional resources and or support to the overwhelmed systems. Let's take a little history back. So November 21 of 2019, this time last year, we saw the end of the Modesto tent city. This was the end of a burst of momentum that saw families put in homes, thousands of services given out, and even a reduction in crime. Despite the highlights, officials say the outdoor shelter can be the only option, and the next step has to be taken. So at the beginning of 2019, Modesto and Stanislaus County officials, they allowed hundreds of homelessness people to camp under the 9th Street Bridge while they tried to find an answer to the city's homelessness problem. The city allowed the homeless to camp out in Beard Brook Park in 2018 so they could enforce the no camping ordinances in the rest of the city parks. They cannot legally cite the homeless for sleeping outdoors when there are not enough beds available at the shelters for them to sleep. So Beard Brook Park was an emergency situation. This was given by Modesto spokesperson Thomas Reeves. So when their leadership at the city got together and decided they needed to open up the park, they opened up Beard Brook Park, not knowing what to fully expect. But they knew they had to do something fast. So with the rains coming at the end of that year, the lack of level ground, mud from the hill, the park simply was not safe, and a new site under the 9th Street Bridge was made. 4th District, the area had lines of uniformed tents that housed about 700 people over the course of the Modesto Outdoor Emergency Shelter, or MOES, lifespan. In that time, Stanislaus County provided 3,100 services, transitioned 25 families to housing. Many of those services dealt with case management, homeless court, substance abuse, youth services, and mental health. According to Reeves, Modesto even saw crime reduction, specifically with calls for service from police and ambulances. So we did see a direct correlation between allowing for our homeless individuals to go into one location and the calls for service and the quality of life. Crimes that we would otherwise experience in other parts of the city go down, said Reeves. Amid all this success and positive attentions to the Modesto Outdoor Emergency Shelter, or MOES, has gotten, it'll ultimately be shut down, and its residents will have to find a new shelter. City officials have already committed to returning the park back to the public. So the outdoor emergency shelter was, generally speaking, an unregulated outdoor camping area, said Becky Meredith, Deputy Executive Officer for Stanislaus County. Moe's wasn't even really a shelter, and by HUD guidelines, the people were still considered unsheltered. In the new shelter guidelines, drugs and alcohol will not be allowed. Those would be the biggest things folks were allowed to do and have at the outdoor emergency shelter that will not be allowed at the Salvation Army shelter. Major Harold Laubach, the Salvation Army, knows that the traditional shelter life can be a tough adjustment. The closure of the outdoor emergency shelter is intended to coincide with the opening of the new 182-bed shelter run by the Salvation Army. Come November 15, 2019, Stanislaus County began transitioning homelessness out of the Modesto Outdoor Emergency Shelter on 9th Street. Not everyone is comfortable living that close to somebody else. So if you're dealing with people with mental health issues, you're dealing with people with anti-society issues and things like that, it's going to be much more comfortable to live in a tent outside where you don't have to deal with other people, Laubach said. So when the Modesto Outdoor Emergency Shelter, or MOES, closed, the Salvation Army had 200 beds. They also had a couple motels. The Roadway Inn Motel on 9th Street has 40 beds. Budget Inn and Suites on Kansas Avenue has 200 beds. Stanislaus County making room for 600 plus homelessness with new shelters per the Housing Cooperative Public Service and Government, 329th Street, Modesto. Their number is 209-529-7507. The Salvation Army will do an intake interview to determine if you need medical attention, mental health treatment, or a bed. At the Salvation Army, you have to be there by 5 p.m. to check in to get a bed. The clothes you're wearing will be taken to be washed, and new clothing will be provided for you. Your clothes will be returned to you in the morning. These are part of the new COVID standards. The Salvation Army caseworkers are supposed to count the number of homelessness coming into the shelters per day, per week, etc., in order to receive their funding. So if there's no count, then the funding gets cut. August 2020, the news release reported that the majority of the homeless counted this year were in Modesto and Turlock. Modesto sets a record of 2,107 people. Stanislaus County Behavioral Health and Recovery Service path provider is on 800 Scenic Drive, Modesto. Their number is 209-277-7894. The links will be provided below. Stanislaus County Behavioral Health and Recovery Services is a state of California PATH provider. PATH stands for Projects for Assistance in Transition from Homelessness. PATH program funds service people with serious mental illnesses experiencing homelessness. PATH providers are local public or nonprofit organizations that have received U.S. government PATH funding to provide services to people who are not currently connected to mainstream services. I'm going to cut for commercial and we'll be back in just a moment. Thank you. Since Einstein and the discovery of quantum physics, it has been known that everything that exists is energy. Energy is all there is. The only difference is that physical matter, such as a table, a chair, or a car, is the seen energy. The unseen energy is sound, light, radio waves, radiation. They vibrate at a different frequency and a different rate. Reiki is used to assist with many ailments. If you're having a surgery, if you need help recovering, if you were diagnosed with chronic pain, fatigue, inflammation, diabetes, arthritis, then we can connect to the angels and the guides using tones, mantras, selenite swords of light. I use the Ankh to work within the physical pain, body, as well as the emotional field. Reiki can also be done in person or done remotely. I'm also a channel medium. I offer readings. If you would like to get involved in mentoring, you can please reach out to me on my website. I'll be forming groups now. If you would like to set up a session or get a reading or have any conversation about any of the pain or the inflammation or issues you're having, please submit a request to my website and reach out to me. Thank you. Hi, welcome back to You Matter. I'm your host, Deborah Dupre. And today I'm speaking with a community person. His name is Jim Johnson. I'm going to keep his identity private for this time. So Jim, why don't you tell us what your perspective is? I know that these programs are in place and this is what the city has laid out for us. Why don't you tell us your perspective as to what's happening with the Salvation Army?
The Salvation Army is, some of the homeless is out there on the streets, and some of them are making it, and some of them are not making it. They're not helping them enough. They said they had the money to help them out, but it's not there. The city said they're not. The money the city supposed to have and the county supposed to have is not. They broke it down to me. They said they're broke. The county, then the mayor says the mayor telling me one time I talked to him, he said the county's not doing their part. Then it turns around, the hotel, they think the hotel, the one on Kansas, I think they bought that. I think they, but some of this stuff, some of them, the homeless people do not want to get help.
True.
So what it is boiling down to where's the money at? They said they run out of money. If they run out of money, how much did the hotels cost? The hotels are the one the government might have put up the money for them and helped these other places. Somebody put the money up. The government put the money up for them to get these hotels going. They had a meeting about this in the city of Modesto. The mayor and the county person, they got all this set up. They set it up. They know what they was doing. Now they're coming up with they're going to help these people. They moved them out of the 19th bridge. They moved them to in them hotel room. Okay, but somebody else told me, a guard over there said they're going to move them back. They're going to move them back to the 19th bridge. So where's the money at? They say they're broke. They don't have no more money. How much money did they spend getting this all set up? How much money did they hotel cost them? Did they buy the hotel? I can't find out about that. But I know they keep saying they're broke. Park recreation lady, I've been trying to get in touch with her. No response. I've been trying to get in touch with the mayor. I've talked to him one time. No response. I can't get anywhere else because they won't respond back. You leave them a phone number, they won't call you back. You try to set up a meeting with them, it didn't never happen. I've been working on park recreation lady a year. 1 year. So, what I'm saying to you is, Modesto is a good town, but this homeless stuff got to be cleaned up. The police department is doing the best they can. So, the chief of the police department is...
He retired, right? Didn't he retire this month?
He's getting ready to retire out of this.
Yeah.
Because the way it's going. Okay. And then I'm going to say, some of the police officers, I'm going to bring some of this up. Some of the police officers, they get a job here in Modesto. They get a job, they keep it for a little bit, and then they head to San Francisco. San Francisco pays more money.
Right.
So, somebody else I talked to...
So this is like a recurring training program for new new officers, and then the minute they get them trained and to a point where they're ready to work, they transition to another city where they make more money.
Right.
Yeah.
Then I found out about some of the guys, this stuff got to be cleaned up in Modesto. They can do it, but it's not working for them. It's not working for them because they say they don't have no money. Why the county of the board, the city board needs, the city, the mayor is telling me stuff like, told me some of the people on the city council voted against the police department. That's why we don't have the cops we have.
Right.
We don't have the 30 cops on there.
And that's one of the initiatives that the mayor has, is to increase officers in the city.
Right.
And homelessness is one of their initiatives.
So he's trying to help the homeless and this other stuff. But I think what we're going to have, I'm hoping and praying that Modesto will get better, but we got to get this homeless stuff cleared up, because some of this homeless stuff is really, they're out there, they go to that wagon and eat, but they don't, they go over there to, by King Kennedy, they go there and get coffee in the morning, then they leave there, they're back out there, but the police department keep pushing them away. Why don't we put them in a place where they can get something warm, a bed, or somewhere they can sleep and everything else?
So the Salvation Army told me they do have beds. The thing is, they have to be there by 5 p.m. and they have to be unable to bring in alcohol or drugs. So there leaves a gap for the ones that are still doing alcohol and drugs, right? So those are the ones that are not able to get a bed.
Right.
And those are the ones that could be in a treatment program, but they may not volunteer to go to a treatment program. Right. So it is kind of a difficult situation, because if you have somebody who's just unwilling to get help, but if they're mentally ill, there should be a way to get some mental services to get them in their right mind so they can get help, you know? Because a lot of the people, they take self-medicate to alleviate some of the mental illness or the problems that they're having with PTSD or from being on the street or what their issues are. So if there was a way to get some kind of education or treatment to them where they could get help, that would be better. But again, the funding comes into play, because like you said, the mayor's office raised money, the county raised money, the housing authority raised money. Now you have 3 branches of this government that raise money, but nobody's got any money, and they're all saying they're broke.
Right.
So we have a breakdown at the fundamental level of the audits, the auditors that go out and checks and balances that determine where the money went, who spent it, how much came in, how much went out, that kind of thing.
Right.
So the housing authority, my understanding from calling around, is that the housing authority was cut right after COVID happened. 50% of their staff was cut. And then that percent that was left is now working from home, so they're not able to assist as much as they did when they were open. So that's another blow to the homeless community, because they used to be able to just go to a location and communicate with somebody, and now because of the COVID shutdown, they're not even able to do that. And the people that are working from home, I would imagine the caseloads are more because they cut the staff in half, and they're not as responsive as they would have been had they been in that location.
But some of the they cut half of their staff and everything else. Where is the other money they say they don't have?
Yeah. So we need to get a call into, I have actually got a call into District 4, the newly elect, Manny Graywall. and the mayor's office. And I don't know if you know, but the mayor election, and just like the presidential election, they're still counting ballots. So we're still waiting for the announcement of who the mayor of Modesto is going to be. So that could be why we haven't heard yet. We're waiting on election results for the mayor.
Okay.
So we're at this juncture, I'm thinking it's still Ted Brandvold.
Right.
But I don't know because they haven't announced the mayor.
Right.
So we're waiting on election results. But there should be somebody that can tell us more. We will have a follow-up to this interview, and we'll find out more from the city officials. But in the meantime, why don't you tell me a little bit more about just your experience or who you've communicated with on the street. And you told me a story about someone who was like in an alley and he got sick and they took him.
No, he got sick. He was at the store at Budget Meat. I'm gonna say it. Budget Meat looked it bad. He didn't look too good. This is what some of the stuff they're doing. Over where I live at, one alley is one guy's got all this stuff out there in the alley, and that's where he sleeps at.
Kind of like right here.
No, not here.
No, I know there's some here too.
Yeah.
The sleep here.
What is the city? What is the city gonna do? They don't have no more money. They don't have no more money. They ain't got no more money to help these people. They don't. To me, it seems like they broke, and the workers are still out there working. Where is the money for? They promised the homeless.
Right. So what happened to this guy that was at the store and he wasn't looking too good?
I think he's still there. But I applaud one guy where where I live at. The ambulance came up, picked him up, right there where he was at. He was sick. Took him to the hospital. And it was before dark. Mm-hmm. And these people are not going to, the ones on the streets now, they're going to get worse. Mm-hmm. They're going to get real sick, and the hospitals are taking so many people now. They got this other stuff on this. They're going to give us that shot.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be sometime this month. Okay. So what I'm saying is, I think Modesto is these homeless people are going down. And so many people are not, they're not going to.
So did that person pass away when he got to the hospital? He did die, see? So this person was picked up by an ambulance. He was ill. They took him to the hospital and then he passed away at the hospital. So that's a tragic thing. This person passed away that way, living on the street.
Right.
So without proper nutrition, without proper care, without proper housing, they're just probably not going to survive.
Right, they're not going to survive out there. It's going to get colder, it's going to be raining, and after they start all this raining stuff, it's going to get worse.
So we need to figure out, there are some beds at the Salvation Army, but again, that fits into a criteria that they have to meet. And a lot of people, you're saying, may not meet all that criteria to go in to get a bed.
Right.
So what about the people that need a bed that may not meet all of that criteria?
They got so many programs going, but the ones got kids and all this stuff I think what they're working on the one with got kids, a little
families.
But some of the kids, parents might be on that stuff too. So what is the state going to do? What is the government going to do? The government going to look back and say the same thing. They're helping them, but they're not helping them right. Mm-hmm. Then the government.
Okay. All right, so the government's helping them, but not enough?
Enough. The government's not helping them enough.
So what is we as a community can do to support what's happening here? What would you suggest for all of us, since you've
Get the
seen?
program going. Get some of these programs back on. Get these programs back on. Get them back going. But the city and the county can't.
So we have a breakdown in the programs that we existingly have that I just read to you.
Right.
Yeah, so those programs look good on paper, but we're not seeing the result of those programs on the street.
But some of this stuff, on these people on the street are not going to make it.
Yeah,
This is December. We don't know how many more is going to go down.
okay.
So some of this stuff, if the county and city can get some more money, it'll be perfect.
Okay, and with that, we'll be right back.
Every journey begins with a single step. Are you ready to take yours? Here at Modesto Junior College, we can help you begin. The college offers a variety of programs and opportunities, including financial aid. MJC students can transfer to four-year colleges after graduating. Our instructors will prepare you for a successful future in the field of your choice. If you want a quality, affordable education with unlimited horizons, make Modesto Junior College your first step.
Welcome back to You Matter. I'm your host, Debbie Dupre. So Stanislaus County Behavioral Health and Recovery Services is a state of California PATH provider. Stands for Projects for Assistance in Transition from Homelessness. PATH program funds service people with serious mental illness experiencing homelessness. PATH providers are local public or nonprofit organizations that have received U.S. government PATH funding to provide services to people who are not currently connected to mainstream services. Some services PATH programs provide, but are not completely inclusive for all of the programs. Some PATH providers offer all of these services while others focus on providing maybe one or two of them. So they provide outreach services, screening and diagnostic treatment, habilitation and rehabilitation, community mental health, substance abuse treatment, referrals for primary health care, job training, housing, educational assistance. Housing services as specified in section 522B10. The mission statement for them is serve as a resource for the health, safety, and well-being of Stanislaus County employees by managing risk and reducing the frequency, severity, and associated cost of claims through continuous education, participation, and communication. California giving $22 million to Modesto Homeless Service. On 10/26/2020, Bernice Acosta Wright and Nicole Cersoni Center helped conduct the Stanislaus County Point in Time Count of the Homeless in downtown Modesto. The Modesto Gospel Mission is at 1400 Yosemite Boulevard. Their number is 209-529-8259. This is a shelter that requires you to be Christian faith. You must follow their procedures for 1 year, and after that, they will help you to get a home. Overnight shelters for men, women, and children in Modesto Gospel shelters 2,000 people. They also partner with a local animal shelter for the family dog to be sheltered. They have an 18-month program to rebuild work ethic through simple 8-hour workdays of odd jobs around the facilities. They meet weekly with chaplains, they attend daily Bible studies, and they meet for financial advising once a week. They're encouraged to find a local church to attend. After 12 months in the program, members are able to look for employment. When they find employment, they're given 6 months to a year to stay in transition in order to save up money, pay off past debts, purchase a car, and find independent housing. The completion of the 18-month New Life program culminates in a graduation ceremony that members of the mission, friends, and family attend to celebrate their newfound life and accomplishments. The New Beginnings program provides a safe environment for men and women to eradicate dangerous substances from themselves by offering a 30-day retreat refuge from outside influences. During this time, a chaplain will be assigned to each individual to help identify the needs of each program participant. They support them on their road to recovery. A certificate of achievement is awarded after completion of New Beginnings and program participants are offered the opportunity to advance to the New Life program. If an individual completes New Beginnings but does not wish to join the New Life program, they are eligible to stay for 30 days in our emergency shelter program. The Freedom Road Day Center is a structured day program that provides a safe and predictable environment where homeless men and women can find refuge from the streets of Modesto. The program began in January 2018, and it aims to build and strengthen supportive relationships with other program participants, as well as with the Modesto Gospel Mission staff. Freedom Road provides case management services, meals, community advocacy, life skills, classes, and GED services, recreational activities, peer support on a daily basis to the homeless of Stanislaus County. The Men's Overnight Shelter program provides 100 beds for emergency shelter every night. Guests are provided with a safe place to sleep overnight, as well as showers, meals, chapel services during their stay, and case management services are provided to men who consistently come to the mission for the overnight shelter. The overnight shelter program aims to be a stepping stone on the road towards permanent housing and aims to provide hope for the future and provide practical resources for shelter guests as they look for jobs, stable housing, and attempt to transform their lives. The mission provides a total of 225 beds for men, women, and children every night. So I'm going to stop here. Why don't you talk to me about the gospel mission? Has any of the people that you've talked to attempted to go to the gospel mission in that program?
Most of them, I talk to them, they don't, some of them are really, but like I said, some of them don't want no help. They don't want to go there. Now, I've talked to some of them who told me some stuff like, they don't want to, they go, like you said, they got rules there at the mission. Mm-hmm. And most of them, I think last year, where I talked to one where they said they'll let them stay in there. Mm-hmm. After 1 year, they have to go out in the cold. They have to wait for a whole year before they can get back in there. But you got to stay off drugs. You got to stay off whatever you're doing. You got to find something, find your job or something. They don't have enough jobs in Modesto. Every time somebody tries to get a job here, it's a different story. It's background check. And the homeless is trying. Some of them I've talked to, that some of them I said they're trying to get off the street. They're trying to do this, but every time they make them fit,
they get blocked because they don't have a good past.
Right.
Or they have a past that prohibits them from moving forward with their life.
Right.
In a way that they would feel productive and cared for.
Right.
So it's unfortunate that if you've been to prison or you've had a record or you've had a problem, it almost inhibits you from having a life.
Right.
Because the opportunities are going to be much more limited for you.
But what they need to do, they need to take some of these programs. They're not going to open them back up. They cut Modesto where this year, I've never saw it before. They cut half of the city workers. They laid off a lot of people.
Yeah.
They said they don't have the money for that.
Yeah.
They don't have the money for this. So why did the government listen to them when they said all this mess? Now that they laid off half people, they didn't bring back the program. One of the city workers, they didn't bring back the program for them that had the part-timers. Mm-hmm. So this part out here by Airport District, I've been working on that too. They get it back to, they said they don't have the money for it. They work for the state of California, Sacramento. Sacramento will not give them what they want. I think we're the lowest on the payroll. And the payroll means they don't know are we going to get any money this year. But this year it's been, they laid off people.
Now, this has been the hardest year of all
This has been the
because
hardest
of
year.
COVID and because of the money funding, and then also, like you said, the people that knew anything about running those programs was probably let go. And now they've got people in there that may not know that much about running a program that are still there. And it's a very unfortunate situation that's happened. So we need to find out from those that are in charge of these programs how they can mitigate the staff reduction and also support our community.
Some of this, I don't know how many people they laid off with the city. I don't know how many people that didn't lay off in downtown. But why they say they don't have no more money? Where did that money go?
Well, that's an auditor that needs to identify that. And there should be a county clerk auditor that should have been able to account for where the dollars went.
Where did, okay.
And I don't know that. That's like a separate investigation that would have to be done.
What I'm saying is, the city and the county got together on this meeting.
Now, it's the
They
city,
opened
the
it.
county, and the housing authority,
Yeah, they all
right?
got together on this.
Yeah.
They got together on this, man. They said they're going to do this, they're going to do it, and everything else. Then now it's coming down to them now, we're broke.
Yeah.
So,
So COVID happened, and then they cut everybody, and now we don't know where the money went, and we don't know where the staff is, and we don't know what's happened.
right.
Right.
And it seems like they can't, if they start back up, and this is over with, this COVID stuff over with, can they come back up?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
We have to address this with the right people who can make those changes, who can make those decisions.
Do you think we need to go and get Sacramento, the mayor, the governor of Sacramento? We need to get him on a show and let him. He got in there one time and he played it on the wall one time to us about where all this, and everything else. But somebody needs to go to him. He needs to sit down, tell him what happened, why Modesto don't have his money, what happened to it.
Well, do you think that this city is a micro and the macro? I mean, it's kind of like this is going on all over the state, but we're just like one part of a bigger problem that's happening around the whole state.
But what I'm saying, the state, what it is, they're not running it.
They're not running it properly, but that's what I'm saying, is we're just a smaller piece of the bigger picture. The bigger picture being the whole state or the whole country. I mean, I'll even say that. This is probably going on in other states as well.
All these things, I see it on TV a little bit, but what I'm saying to you, Modesto wasn't as bad at one time.
Yeah.
Now it don't got worse.
Now it's not good at all.
Right.
Well, that's because when jobs go overseas and companies shut down, those jobs are gone. And when those jobs are gone, people can no longer pay their rents and they end up on the street. And the rents continue to keep going up because there's no rent control, and people can no longer afford to pay those rents living on, COVID. With COVID, the jobs are gone. The employers couldn't keep them. So they go on unemployment. Unemployment only covers so much. And those rents are still up here, but the income is now less. So you have a bigger push for homelessness happening.
Some of it is there, and some of it is not there. It's between Sacramento, Modesto, all these other towns around us.
Right.
Okay, why can Sacramento, I've heard from somebody said they take some of the money, they take some of our money on taxes, and they take it and send it to Sacramento. So the governor of Sacramento has to explain to himself why Modesto don't have the money there? Why are we broke?
And we'll be right back. We're going to go to commercial. Thank you. Since Einstein and the discovery of quantum physics, it has been known that everything that exists is energy. Energy is all there is. The only difference is that physical matter, such as a table, a chair, or a car, is the seen energy. The unseen energy is sound, light, radio waves, radiation. They vibrate at a different frequency and a different rate. Reiki is used to assist with many ailments. If you're having a surgery, if you need help recovering, if you were diagnosed with chronic pain, fatigue, inflammation, diabetes, arthritis, then we can connect to the angels and the guides using tones, mantras, selenite swords of light. I use the Ong to work within the physical pain, body, as well as the emotional field. Reiki can also be done in person or done remotely. I'm also a channel medium. I offer readings. If you would like to get involved in mentoring, you can please reach out to me on my website. I'll be forming groups now. If you would like to set up a session or get a reading or have any conversation about any of the pain or the inflammation or issues you're having, please submit a request to my website and reach out to me. Thank you. Welcome back to You Matter. I'm your host, Deborah Dupre. So we're having a conversation about the homeless problem here in Modesto. We've shared with you some information about the programs we have and what's been going on here. So at the mission, the gospel mission here in town, the overnight shelter program aims to be a stepping stone on the road towards permanent housing. They aim to provide hope for the future and provide practical resources for shelter guests as they look for jobs, stable housing, and attempt to transform their lives. The mission provides a total of 225 beds for men, women, and children every night. As we talked about, though, some of those beds are not always available unless you comply with a certain regimen that they want you when you go in there. The Housing Authority gives you, 6 months ago, there was a shortage of staff by 50%, and those who are left are now working from home because of COVID-19. So if you go to the Salvation Army and stay, then you have a better chance of going over to the Housing Authority and getting assistance and getting into an apartment. But you need to affiliate yourself with those who can help you. If you need help with these services, you can check out the links below. So let's talk a little bit more about this funding issue, and we were talking about it on the break. So one of the things that we've noticed is that there are people in the community that are still at a certain income level, and they have $600,000 house, for example, or a $500,000 house, and all of a sudden their job goes away, and this person is used to having their home, they're used to having a place to live, etc. And now they're living on maybe, I don't know, $1,000 a month. They've been given a government check or a government credit card to buy their food. And now they've been pushed into a homeless situation because the rents stay the same, the mortgages stay the same, but the income is no longer what it was. So you have half your income, maybe less, and you have the same amount of mortgage or the same amount of rent to pay. This is forcing more people onto the street. So somebody who's not used to being on the street, somebody who's maybe living in a situation where they're not able to get along is going to probably perish sooner than somebody who is equipped and has been dealing with the street for a longer part of their life. Some of these people are getting older, they have health issues, maybe they can't afford their medicines anymore, maybe they can't afford medical care or don't know how to get medical care. If some of the programs are shut down because 50% of the staff was cut and they have no place to physically go and ask for assistance, or they no longer have access to a computer to go online to get assistance. These are problems that the city's going to face. As a community, though, we have a responsibility to try to help as many as we can. So that's what today's show is really about. It's about how do we find the right fit, the right match for the person who may be new coming into homelessness, somebody who may be in homelessness for a longer period of time, doesn't really have the mental ability to coordinate those steps that these programs need them to follow. They may be suffering from long-term PTSD or suffering from an addiction or mental illness that doesn't allow them to be equipped to follow some rule that they don't understand. And then you have somebody who can follow the rules, but because of a past infraction or a past problem that they encountered, they try to get on the right track, they try to get their life together, but then they can no longer do that because of a background check, or there is no job for them to go to where they can get hired on because they don't have a phone number, they don't have an address, they don't have the right look, they don't have the right background, they don't have the right whatever to get them moving in the right direction. So I think we've covered an awful lot today. We've covered the funding issues. We've covered the housing issue.
Right.
Now the motels, are those covered under the funding that you're talking about? And did that get cut too? Is that why they're asking people to pay rent now to the motel?
I think they're paying rent because I think they can't, some of them got to pay the rent because they got to pay, the hotel got to pay their lights, their gas, and everything else. But I don't know why the city and the county did all of this, and now
so if the county and the city got cut on their funding and they can't pay the taxes on the hotels, then they may be charging rent to cover some of their base to make sure they can keep that going.
Yeah.
So the people that were able to live there under the program before may be pushed out because they can't afford the rents on that particular room that they were renting, that they were in before. So that could be another reason that you know, that more are ending up on the street.
Yeah, but some of that, we don't know if it, why they doing it, what the reason.
Well, you also told me that one of them was boarded up. So there was one that they could go to, but now that one's boarded up and it's not available anymore.
But the one out on McHenry, if it's boarded up, did they go broke? Did they go broke after this stay in the air? Did they go broke, or did they have a problem somewhere?
Yeah, so that's another problem. So they had another motel that I don't have listed here under McHenry, and now that one isn't even in service anymore. That one's just boarded up. Maybe it wasn't habitable. Maybe it was.
They might have run out. If they run out of money, and they don't have the money like they said to do. Why? This is bugging me. Why the government gave them the money they could give them, but we want to find out some of this stuff. They made my cousin, I won't bring her name up, my cousin said they might be putting some of that money in their pockets.
Well,
If they putting some of that money in,
that's not beyond the reason, is it? I mean, there's people that have been doing that, but
the city, the county won't tell the truth. They won't tell the truth. They won't go on. They'll go on the bush. I've been dealing with them. I've been dealing with the city a lot. The city will not tell the truth. If we're down to 30, like I talked to you, we're down to 30 cops. The 30 cops, I've talked to the chief, who was at lunch. He told me, I asked him, I said, where did the money go? He said the money we never had for the police department, for the cops. It was never there.
okay, so they were cut too.
And
So
they were cut too.
their money was cut too for the police department, for their officers.
And then some of the other stuff, they can't get back on it. Because the city, the police department can't get back with what they want with the 30 cops, then they'll never see that again.
Well, no, because once it's gone, it's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah, they
And
can't get it back.
Now, where this money going? I don't know. It's going, somebody's gotta know how to do it, know the program. If you got a computer, you can do it. If you know how to calculate, you can do it. I've tried to talk to finance from the city.
No update.
No response.
No, you need an auditor from the auditor to go in there and do an audit of the books to find out what happened. You know, like
Finance will not tell you.
well, it's not finance. It's really like a forensic audit that has to happen.
If the city, like I keep telling them, if the city is in the red, why don't they just admit it? They got in that new building they're downtown in. That building cost them a lot of money. That parking lot they built some of that other stuff. The city is in the red on some of the stuff. The Red Lions. Some guy did some work at my aunt's house. He told me, he said he didn't get all his money from the job he was supposed to finish. He was broke under.
Wow. So they were supposed to pay him too, and he's a contractor, and then he didn't get paid either. And he had to finish the job without the rest of the money.
Some of that stuff in Red Line's not done.
Yeah.
And some of the other stuff, what I'm saying is about this, the money we got now was not managed right.
Yeah. So we need to find out who's managing that. That's the treasurer. The treasurer should be managing it.
One more question for you is, I saw them on TV, well, on they have their Tuesdays. The Bank of America might be involved with some of this. They might have took a loan to get the stuff they wanted done downtown. If they did, they know what they were doing. But I don't know if Bank of America was involved with it, but Bank of America was in one of the meetings with them. And I don't know why. But
So they took a loan to try to finish up what they could for the year?
downtown.
Okay.
They had to do what they had to do. But if the city's in the red, watch it in a minute.
Yeah.
They won't.
So that's one of the mayor's initiatives, is to balance the budget. And that could be a big problem if the budget's already overspent.
He found that money one time. Then it went from the way he going down with it. Then this other lady, black lady, if I ever find her again, you can bring her on your show. She can tell you they got rid of her because she found something going on with the city, and the city fired her.
Wow.
So
Okay.
it's a lot of stuff in there. You
Sounds very suspicious. A lot of stuff going on downtown.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to have a follow-up to this show. We're going to try to get some information from District 4 and from the mayor, and we'll take it further at that point. So in closing, we thank you, Creator, for all these gifts of peace, love, gratitude, and joy and health as we walk in our ancestors' footprints. We say yes to the angels, ancestors, and guides, leading me forward to making the right choices. Being present in the moment today, to my higher self for leading me here to be with all of you. May you and your families be blessed today and every day as we close the show with love and peace. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.